R&B is rhythm and blues, and there's a certain thing about rhythm that when you put rhythm and blues to an emotion, it is supposed to make you feel a certain way. In the past decades, R&B has been a leading genre in our communities, just all over the world, because when you knew that there was something going on with your relationship, you knew that you could find an R&B song.
Hello, everyone. This is Eric Keith, editor in chief of The Quintessential Gentleman. And today we are talking to Mr. Q Parker from 112. What's going on, my brother? How are you?
And all is well in my world. I have no complaints.
I love that. I love that. Where are you at right now?
I'm in Atlanta.
In Atlanta. Nice.
Yeah,
Nice. And you've been in Atlanta for some time, right? Or do you go back and forth?
absolutely. No, born and raised. This has always been my primary residence.
Yeah.
And yeah, I'm not going anywhere anytime soon.
What is it about Atlanta that you're just like, this is it for me? There's no other city I'm trying to dwell in.
Well, when you are from a specific place, it holds a special place in your heart. And just to be a part of what is now known as the music Mecca, that means something to me. And I have my contribution to the legacy of R&B music, whether it was from, my time with the group, or me as an individual artist, so much is tied to my city. And I like to always be an active and a present resident, and a primary advocate of just why I love my city, man. My city has invested in me. My city has loved and supported me for years, and so I'm proud when people ask me where I'm from and where I reside, because I wear Atlanta bold and proud.
Love that. Love that. In terms of, you just spoke about how Atlanta is this black music mecca. What was it that made it this mecca, in your opinion? What is the examples of like how it came to be this mecca?
I think, man, because there are so many artists that came from Atlanta. And during a time where hip hop was starting its surge, if you looked at any moment from, I would say about 94, maybe starting 94 into present, there's always been somebody at the top of the charts repping Atlanta, whether they're born in Atlanta or have become a resident of Atlanta. And our thing is, if you've been in Atlanta over 7 years, we'll allow you access to claim that I'm from the A, peace up, A town down. And so when there, you could go on any chart and you could see that it would be dominated by artists from Atlanta or repping Atlanta, residing in Atlanta. And I think with so many of us repping and just speaking Atlanta, it started to be identified as this is the place to be when it comes to music. And then from an entertainment space, the net started to be casted out wider because television and film started making its way in Atlanta. And so you think about what the music industry had already done, and then when you add to that entertainment and TV and film, there's a reason why it's now the entertainment mecca.
I want to speak quickly. You mentioned about the charts. I don't know if you've seen a recent report that says that no rap song has been on the Billboard's Hot 100 within the top 40, and this is like the first time in 30 years.
Wow,
What do you think that is?
man. Ooh, now I pride myself, man, on being able to answer every question.
Okay.
But I think you just stumped me, bruh, because
Okay.
I don't have an answer for that. I can't say that artists aren't putting out music. I can't say that artists aren't investing in themselves to work in records at radio so that they can be charting.
Mhm.
I'd have to get back to you on that one.
Yeah, I wonder also, we wrote about it a couple days ago, and it's some kind of findings is, people, to your point, yes, there are artists that are invested in it, but then you also have artists independently who now don't use radio or don't need radio. Is it now, do you have this digital space where it's straight to consumer, right? Has social
Yeah.
media become a thing where
Yeah.
TikTok, has now a thing? So, that's kind of the question too. And then I think there is a piece of it now where Billboard specifically had changed their systems and rules
Hmm.
on what, how songs can stay on there and if they get bumped off and things like that. So it's definitely an interesting conversation, but I think it, to your point, it's larger than just one thing.
Yeah.
It's like a combination of a lot of things happening.
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
But very interesting. But yeah, so first of all, I am a 80s, 90s baby. I got to take it a little bit back. I know we're definitely going to talk about new music, but I want to know what has changed about Q Parker from early days 112 to where you are today.
What has changed from Q Parker early days of 112 to now is just my continuance to evolve. There's a reason why this new project is called the evolution of romance because it's two things that's going on. You get to see the evolution of Q Parker because again, there's a difference between Quinnis, there's a difference between Q from 112 to now Q Parker. That's a whole evolution of maturation. That's an evolution of growth and expansion and his wisdom and incorporating new things and embracing new ideologies and philosophies and all of those things. And so the biggest difference is just me living on this earth and using my life experiences to be the subjects of songs and to be the pilot of this romance movement. I don't think if you haven't lived through heartbreak and being smitten by somebody and romance and this R&B balladeer, you don't get to a point where I can be bold in naming an album Evolution of Romance because that's all I am. I'm just an R&B song walking with two legs. I'm a romantic individual. And so today's version of Q Parker is just all of those life experiences, all of those dating and being married and courting and then being broken up with and me having to break up with people. Like it's just the evolving of this guy personally as well as musically.
So, 112 came around during this time of definition of the sound of R&B, as I would say, at least on our side. And there was a magic to it.
Yeah,
Do you We currently don't have any groups in
yeah.
that space that are doing R&B specifically. Why do you think that is? And is it the times? Is it just the interest in that type of music? Is people easy to go to Chat GPT when they get broken up with? They don't need music to to soothe them.
So I believe that during the 90s, the late 80s, well, 80s and 90s, being in a group was just a thing. It was a line item. When you talked about what's the blueprint of the music industry, you had bands, you had female solo artists, male solo artists, female groups, and male groups. That was the guideline or the blueprint or the outline, if you will, the outline of what was going to be your entrance into this music industry. Either you was going to be a solo artist, be a part of a band, or be in a group. And during those times, being in a group was just one of the hot commodities. It was just super dope to be in a group. There's nothing better than taking individual instruments, putting them together to make one collective sound. And that's the reason why during that era, in those eras, there was just groups that were plentiful. There was a group everywhere you turned around. There was a group. And labels then saw the need and the value and the place for groups. However, I think as time goes on, whether the labels stop investing in groups because it takes a huge investment to move around four to five individuals, three to five individuals in a group. And in today's, just the manning of that is a heavy lift. You think about if it's a female group, hair and makeup and wardrobe, and then it's plane tickets, and then it's hotels, and it's all these expenses where when the budget started to be lessened, a lot of the companies just couldn't afford to move around, a full group. Then you think about bands and all of that. It's just a lot. But because of that, I think that it's no longer a priority in terms of the outline. I think right now it's just solo male, solo female. I just don't think people think about, we love to relish in what groups did for us, but in terms of, is there one presented today? I just don't think it's talked about enough. I don't think the demand is requested enough. And I don't know if there are executives or visionaries who even have the time or even the knowledge to be able to put one together, firstly, but then also figure out ways to move them around, figure out ways to market and promote them.
Do you think that, I would say, is it easier or harder to be in a group versus solo projects? And I get the financial piece of it. I always say, budget wise, if I could do what I'm doing now in the 90s where the budgets were nuts,
Yeah.
I would be ecstatic, right? However, putting money aside, I would think with a group, at least you have someone you can lean on, y'all kind of sharing responsibilities, figure things out. But I would love to know from your perspective if you think one is easier than the other. And also, does that depend on the age demographics? I'm assuming having a band with people older versus you're all young together and kind of growing together.
So I don't think there's a prototype answer for that. I think, situations are different. However, I will say for me, being in a group was the greatest entry point for me. A person who didn't have all the confidence initially, but had enough to be able to carry my portion of the weight. But being in a group so talented as 112, I learned from Duran. I learned from singing next to Mike and Slim every day. And so during those early years, I was still learning on the job. It was on the job training for me. And so in those early years, I was able to nurture my gift, nurture my talent. So the day that I did announce that I wanted to do some solo stuff, I was already battle tested. I already had the confidence. I had already put up the necessary reps that gave me the confidence that I can do this on my own. But yeah, I think for if you if I think if you're younger, it kind of bodes well and you get a whole lot of miles out of it versus when you are an adult or you already grown with priorities and bills and responsibilities, that it can sustain itself through all of those. But I think the younger you can start and you build this brotherhood or this sisterhood or this camaraderie and fellowship amongst your fellow group members, I think there's more potential of longevity when you start younger versus when you start if you start older.
For sure. I want to talk about writing and
Mm.
songwriting. I don't feel like there's enough conversations around songwriters.
Yeah.
I love the show that just came out on Netflix,
Yeah.
Hitmaker, I believe.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Very, very well done. And you are a writer and have been a writer for some time. I feel
Yeah.
like we're getting into the space. I know there's a lot of conversations around rap and writing and things like that, but I even just songwriting as a whole, I think is amazing and a conversation that needs to happen. I want to know just on your end how you start the creative process when writing just a song.
So when writing a song, the process kind of comes in a myriad of options and ways. Sometimes the melody comes first. Sometimes the subject matter comes first. Sometimes the music is presented, and then we have to match lyrics and melodies to music. I embrace them all. I feel like there's a place for all of them to live. And the key thing for me is, regardless of which way it comes, just deliver it authentically. Deliver the melody, stay true to the melody, really commit to the lyrics so that when someone is receiving them, it could be 100% potent. And so again, I embrace all the options of how a composition is created, and I've done many records from either of those three ways that I just mentioned.
Is it easier or harder to write for a song for yourself or for someone else? Or do you write a song and then you kind of pick and choose which ones you're going to keep to your chest or which ones you're going to give away?
Yeah. So that's how this solo journey even started. You know, there was a time some years back when the group we decided to just kind of take a break and give ourselves room to explore individuality.
Mhm.
And as a songwriter, I would sit in my studio and I would just come up with records. And after a while, like I would do a record and I would put it over to the side, like, ooh, I may need to keep this one on. I don't know who I can give this to that can deliver it in the way that I intended. And I looked up, man, and I had placed like 5 records over in a folder that I just went back to revisit it, and that became the foundation of my first solo record in 2012, the manual. But yeah, for me, I just allow my creativity to pilot the vehicle, and wherever it takes me on any given day, I'm just obedient and I'm authentic to what comes to me. And then if I hear somebody on it, I reach out to them. If I don't hear anybody on it, I don't. It's for me, it's really that simple.
Yeah. Is there a song that you knew was a hit prior to it becoming a hit?
There's a song I knew was a hit prior to it becoming a hit. I would go back to, I would go to Cupid, uh, but I would also go to Beg, the first single of my project. I would go to Cupid because we channeled some important legends in us creating Cupid. We wanted a Babyface record, but he charged so much that we couldn't afford him. And so we went in inspired by Babyface and created Cupid. I went in inspired by D'Angelo's "How Does It Feel" when I created, or we created Beg. And so I feel like there's always a template of what has worked in the past. If you embrace that template and just kind of add your special sauce on it, um, you give yourself a great possibility and potential to having a successful record.
Wow. So, talking about evolution of romance, you have new music come out, new record come out, and
Yes.
how does it feel to have new audiences, right? Because you have, even though you're putting out new music, but you have new audiences discovering your old music, where TikTok is real big for that, right? How does that feel?
It just feels great, dude. Again, it's been 12 years since my last solo, 2012. And I'm the type of guy that I'm never just gonna put out music just because I can always just do that.
Mhm.
But my objective is to find a place and a space that I can occupy securely and that I can commit to authentically, and then just lock in there. And for me, when I did that assessment, I saw that romance was missing in the music. And I immediately said, "That's the hat I'm going to wear." And so I named myself the romance dealer because there's so many people out here lacking romance or even knowing how to even identify romance. And so the evolution of romance is really what we're talking about and taking you on a romantic journey on this volume 1. And gaining new fans and new followers, that's great. But I want you to become a supporter of mine with a full understanding of what you're getting. And that's love, that's romance, that's R&B, that's authenticity, that is great melodies. And yeah, man, I understand that the charts do what they do, but I don't make records for the charts. I don't make records for the approval of anybody. I just go with what my heart tells me, where my heart leaves me, and I just emote.
It's interesting because I did, listen to a couple songs on the project, and to me, I always try to figure out what an artist is doing. Some artists feed their fans, right? Like this is who you're gonna get because this is who I am, and I know this is what my artists like. But for you, it's still Hugh Parker at the end of the day. However, it's still to your point of evolution. It's there's a little change in it. I want to know, you said from the state of art, well, I won't say put words in your mouth, but you said that there's romance missing, but there's so many conversations about R&B and if people really care about it. Do you think a
Yeah.
reason that people may not care about R&B is because romance is missing within the music?
Oh,
Or, I think people just say, oh, it's slow music and this is R&B. And, to your point, that's not what it is, right?
no, no. R&B is rhythm and blues, and there's a certain thing about rhythm that when you put rhythm and blues to an emotion, it is supposed to make you feel a certain way. And that's why in the past decades, R&B has been a leading genre in our communities, just all over the world, because when you knew that there was something going on with your relationship, you knew that you could find an R&B song that would totally encompass everything you're going through, or it can even down to the specific lyrics of what you're going through. There's a song because R&B was designed to cater to your emotions, to appease your emotions, to connect you with this rhythm and this vibe with your feelings and your emotions. And I think along the journey, cats got away from that, especially R&B male artists. We signed what I call the syllabus that said, as an R&B artist, we're gonna sing these type of records. The subject matter is going to sound like this. Our delivery is going to be very direct, sensual, sexy, in some ways, soft, aggressive, Teddy P. Um, and but you're gonna still be able to feel it, and you're going to be able to have a conversation with whoever is delivering this record, as opposed to some of the R&B artists now are just kind of talking at you and singing at you. Is what I want, how I want it, when I want it, where I want it. But there's no lead up, there's no courtship, there is no serenading. It was lacking gentleness and chivalry and being a gentleman through your music. That's the way. That's what I signed up for when I signed up to being an R&B artist, because those that gave me the baton were Freddie Jackson and Luther Vandross and Marvin Gaye and Otis Redding and Babyface and Johnny Gill, right? Those were the guys who said, "Here you go, young fella, take this baton." And they never said, "Come here at this time, turn it over, flip it over." Blah, 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 blah. No, they said, "Slip on your red dress and even your high." Paint the picture, man. So by the time the song get over, listen, I have a motto, man. I say, let that thing marinate. You think about some meat, some chicken or whatever. The best way for the meat to be falling off the bone is when you let it simmer, you let it rotisserie, and you let that thing marinate. Because when you let it marinate, man, shit just be the meat just falling off the. I mean, it just super moist. You can't even you bite it, juice flying everywhere, because it had time to really just simmer and slow cook and just let that thing marinate. And so that's how I approach when I create music. I want to create the scene. So by the time I get to the bridge, whatever it is I'm trying to get at, man, you throwing that shit at me. You feel me? I ain't gotta ask for nothing, because the way that I've story told this thing and got us to where we by the end of the song, a wrap.
I'll also add too, it's funny, like I said, my friends, I'll be playing some music, think something wrong with me. It's not even about I love
Yeah,
sad music. I love sad music because the vocals, the
mhm,
arrangement, how it's put. So for me, of course, lyrics is good too, but the vocal range, how it's done, it's not done like that anymore.
yeah,
So when you hear those type of songs, for me, it's just like you fit to your point, you feel it, right?
yeah,
And it's
yeah,
like I just love that feeling. I love when it hit that note, or I know that it's coming, and you know that part too. So I also think that the production is different
mhm.
in our R&B songs today, which you know neither here nor there, but it's just a different experience that you get from these songs now, I would say.
Well, I would also add to that from a production standpoint, cats really played this stuff. And so as a musician, I dictate the feeling that I'm putting into these keys because I can go in there and dun 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 dun.
Yeah.
That's aggressive. Bah, bah, bah. But I can also go in there. Like the way that the even see, I don't know about you, but there was a time, man, that there's a reason why the instrumental is a thing
Yeah.
because the music alone pulled you in and made you feel something. And that made the job easy for the performer and the songwriter because now, if I can just marry some lyrics to what I already feel with this instrumentation, and then I allow the instrumentation and the lyrics to now lead my vocal performance, hit record, baby.
Yeah. Yeah.
And hit not necessarily in terms of how it's performing chart wise or record sales. I'm talking about a hit in the hearts of the fans.
So talking about the difference from instruments and the ability, and now we have machines, I want to get your thoughts on AI and the creative landscape. Like it, don't like it, could be beneficial, too much of it is too much. What do you think?
Well, we all know too much of anything ain't necessarily good. But I do believe that as the world continues to progress, new methods and new ways are going to be introduced. And you can eat the meat, spit the bone out. You know, you don't have to be so heavily left or so heavily right. Take what you need to apply to what your delivery is and be okay with it. I'm not I'm not for it or against it because I think you use whatever you can to get the idea and get the objective of what you're creating out, and whether that is AI or sampling or interpolating or playing live or whatever the case may be, you have all of these things at your disposal to use at your discretion. And so, I believe in technology, I believe in advancement. And so I'm never going to shun things of today versus when I was coming up because I'm not gonna be that old head saying, well, when I was coming up, we did it. Nah, that's not me. But again, I can respect today's ways, but that doesn't mean I have to necessarily subscribe to it and actually implement it in my delivery. But what I will do, I'm smart enough to be able to incorporate some elements and just making it a part of, that's the key word, a part of how I'm delivering it to the masses.
Okay. So just diving into again evolution of romance. Keep on loving one of the singles out. I want to know where did the inspiration for that come from?
So, man, my great friend Rico Love, I went to Miami to work on a project with him for a mutual friend of ours. And when I left, when I was getting ready to leave, he just said, "Hey, yo, what you working on?" And Rico and I have been trying to work together for years. But he said, "What you working on?" I said, "Well, got an EP that I'm pretty much done with, um, and that's about it. I'm just pretty much done with it. And but my motto is, it ain't done until it's released,
Okay.
right?" So he said, "You got room for some more?" Again, it ain't done until it's released.
Mhm.
I've been on projects where the deadline was on Friday and we created a song on Thursday night. It ain't done until it's released. And so he said, "Well, I have this idea, man, that I want to send to you." He sent it to me and it had a verse and a hook. And it was to keep on loving with the two occasions sample. Man, I listened to that thing all the way home from Miami to Atlanta on the airplane. By the time I landed, I had already written the second verse. Um, and then we kind of collaborated on the bridge. But I just knew from the sample and the nostalgia from the sample that it was going to be an amazing record. And I'm always particular about sampling or remaking already classic songs. Like you can't play with it.
Yes.
And I think we did a great job of giving just enough of the two occasions idea, but also flipping it into our own. And so, big shout out to Ghost Kid, producer Enrico Love. And then we added Dundria on some of the vocals. And I just think, dude, this is just it is and a great summer record, but it's also doing its part in this evolution of romance because in romance you have to keep on loving. You just can't stop loving.
Okay. So talking about that, what do you think is missing from relationships now? Right? Like what is it? I'm gonna let's start. I'll start with the men. What do you think that men, from what you see, what you hear, your homeboy, social media, whatever the case may be, that you think is missing from relationships as it pertains to loving each other?
I think for men, we have to tap into all of the senses that God blessed us with. Get rid of these stereotypes that men don't cry, men got to be hard, men can't be vulnerable, because that's when we're our best selves. When we are vulnerable and sensitive and emotional and all of those things. Yeah, we can be tough too, but we have to have some sense of gentleness and chivalry and delicately delivering things to the people that we are in relationship with. Everything for me, I just believe that everything just has to be smooth. Everything has to be sexy, man. We ain't stressing about nothing. It's I have a song that's called Light Work because no matter what life brings you, or no matter what's going on in our relationship, man, it's light work. That ain't about nothing. It ain't even that serious. It's all good, baby. And so I think if men are able to start self-reflecting, looking in the mirror, and just tapping into all of those other qualities and characteristics and the traits that God bless us with, man, and really start to using them. It's okay to say somebody hurt your feelings, man. It's okay to cry if you feel like crying. It's okay to say, I ain't appreciate that. It's okay to be vulnerable and allow your authentic self to be present. So I think that's one of the areas that men are suffering from. And then women, we went through this phase of where this I'm every woman and I don't need no man. And I think we are relational beings, so we can't not survive without the other. We were designed to be in relations with each other. But understanding that we all have a role to play. And I don't believe in gender roles, but I believe we have a relationship role. And that role is to sacrifice, compromise, listen, communicate, continue to find things that make you all compatible. Spend time with each other, man. Do acts of service. Be kind with each other. Have fun, laugh. All of those things are created for a reason. And when you allow those words to show itself in relationships, man, that's when the relationships flourish.
No, I agree. I agree. And I think I'm gonna add in communication. I think communication across the board is one of the biggest things that I think many people, men and women, have a challenge
Yeah,
with. Being is communicating either for them not wanting to hurt the other person's feelings, not know how to communicate effectively, and all those things.
yeah, yeah. I
All right.
agree.
So checking on the time. So you talked a little bit about how the baton was passed to you. What are some artists right now that you enjoy? Black of course, but R&B male artists that you see coming up the ranks and
Yeah.
you for their music.
R&B male artist that I'm kind of rocking with, man, hard is Jay Howell, um, Lucky Day,
Mhm.
Kevin Ross. Um, I know you said coming up, but I'm a huge Usher and Chris Brown fan. Um, but yeah, those would be the ones that I would say. Kevin Ross, Jay Howell. Yeah.
What advice do you give artists, the younger ones, as it pertains to longevity and being able to navigate this space?
I have another motto, regimen consistency equals results. Establish a good regimen and be consistent in that regimen and just watch the results show up. Um, and to just be your authentic self. The worst thing is to put out a record that's really not you, and then you got to go perform that record for 10, 20 years. put out music that you're gonna still love to do when you are in your 40s and in your 50s, if you so choose to still be a recording artist. But yeah, man, for the most part, just commit to the work and research and respect those that put in the work before you, because you now have a legacy to uphold. You got a baton that you got to now securely pass to the next generation.
And talking about support of the next generation, your Q Parker Legacy Foundation. Um,
Yeah,
I gotta get to one of your galas. I hear about it all the time. I gotta
yeah,
get to one of them.
yeah.
Want to know what started you to even create the foundation, and then how are you impacting the things that you're doing with the foundation?
Man, I just felt like, my city has given so much to me that I wanted to figure out a way to give back to my city. And not only giving back, but who could be the direct beneficiaries of our uh committing to the community. And we honed in on the children and the senior citizens. And so throughout the year, we have programming that really just support love, nurture, guide in some cases. Both of those demographics have highly impacted the community, and then the other on the senior citizens part, but then on the children and the youth, we have to set them up so that they can continue to advance in our communities. And so this will be year 14 for the caroling event that I do. And this past summer was year 10 of the music and entertainment summer camp.
Amazing. It's amazing. It's amazing. So my last question for you is, what do you want people to feel after listening to Evolution of Romance, which comes out November 14th?
November 14th, yes. What I want people to take away from listening to Evolution of Romance Volume 1 is romance is still a top line. And there's an artist who will and continue to place romance as a priority. I still believe that relationships need it. I want to be the soundtracks of your romantic evenings, your weekend getaways, but also be the voice of those who may not can articulate what they need to express to their partner. I want to be that. And as I always say, I ain't going nowhere no time soon. I'm really committed to this romance dealing, which is why I've coined myself the romance dealer, because I'm out here pushing romance. I'm out here dealing romance, and no matter where you see me at, I'm just an R&B dude to the core of me, and romance is going to always be somewhere close.
Perfect. All right. Thank you so much for taking the time to speak with us. Everyone, please make sure you look out for November 14th. It'll be Evolution of Romance. It's definitely going to be on the quintessential the Gentleman soundtrack. It's every week we go ahead and put new music on there, and music that we rocking to, and it's definitely going to be on there. Thank you
Yeah,
so much, the legend, Q Parker. Thank
man,
you.
I appreciate your time.
Of course, brother.
All right, take care.
You.